What's going on, everyone? This is Auto Tech. Today we're back in the shop. Haven't done one of these in a while, so let's see if we remember how to wrench on the bike. I'm just kidding. I kind of remember. Anyways, though, today I'm going to show you kind of a cheater method to adjusting and measuring your steering head bearings, which is a regular maintenance item that you got to do on your Harley Davidson. So today I'm actually going to throw a little bit of a disclaimer in there because we are going to be doing it a cheater way and not using the service manual. I am going to tell you what the service manual wants you to do and why I don't want to do it. So if you're not super familiar with how taper roller bearings work, then this method really isn't for you. And we're definitely going to be going by feel and you know, that's something that just kind of comes with experience. So if you're really not comfortable with this, don't try and do it yourself, because if you screw up your steering, you could get yourself into quite a bit of trouble. So if you flip through your Bible, your service Bible, there's quite a few procedures that are all just retarded. Now, I've already read through this. We're not going to worry too much about that. What they want you to do is they want you to have, you know, your steering at the balance point. They want you to put like a stick off of here with a piece of tape, and then they want you to have like a board with a ruler, you know, and then so like this would be 0, and then you bump it, and where your steering starts to fall away, that's where you measure it. So you'd go like 1, 2, 3, and then it starts to fall away, and then you go to the other side. So you go, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then it starts to fall away. But the problem is all of these lines that you have connected are holding you up, right? So they want you to unhook your clutch cable. They want you to, you know, unbolt your brake lines. And I think it was like the FLD model or something like that. They want you to unhook your throttle cables. That's a lot of work. You know, and that's probably why a lot of people don't do this adjustment, is because you look at it and you're just like, man, like, I don't want to take all of that off to do that. So nobody knows your bike like you do. And while I was on my trip, I knew that my steering was loose. Like, I could just feel it. So if you know it's loose, you got to tighten it. You know, I've read online that these fall away measurements are just like a foolproof method to ensure that your bearings aren't loaded. Because when it comes to a taper bearing, you don't want to have load on it. You want to have it at like 0 lash. So the first step is going to be loosening this cap. It's not on there super tight. You know, you just saw I just did it by one hand. You know, it is threaded on. So do not use a pair of pliers on this. Like, you're gonna mar it up and then it's gonna look terrible. Let me show you one way of you know, that you could use pliers if it was too tight. So if you had a good set of rubber handled pliers, you could actually just kind of grip it like this and get a little bit more turning force out of it. Be careful of this end that you don't scratch your paint, but this is another way that you could do it. Another option would be if you took a small belt and wrapped it around it and then pulled this way. That might work for you as well, but it shouldn't be tight enough that you need tools. I actually got kind of lucky there. One of the problems I always have is all of my tools are at work, so I have to bring home my, you know, more specialty type crap anytime I want to do something, because it's a, you know, like, I'm not going to have 2 sets of tools. They do sell a socket that fits this, but I was able to get my 38 millimeter to fit on there no problem. If you happen to have shorter handlebars, you might have to get the socket or take off your handlebars, which is still a lot less than unhooking everything else. So this is just the nut that holds like torque on everything. This is not actually your adjustment. So don't go and just tighten this down. Oh, that'll be good to go. But yeah, you definitely want this loose. And then if you actually come underneath here, hopefully this shows up, there's a little star wheel in there. That's where you're going to be making your adjustments. Like most things in life, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So if your steering feels loose, you know that you're going to have to tighten that a little bit. And I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed, but get a flathead screwdriver, lock it into that star. Actually, I think it is called a star nut. And then you're going to have to use a hammer and just lightly tap it. Give it like just like one hit, get it to move a little bit, and then we'll check it. Don't forget, when you're checking it, you want to have that snugged up. Now, the torque is, it's a fairly decent amount, so you don't need a torque wrench just yet. Just give it a little oomph, and that'll get everything kind of snugged up, and then we can recheck where it is and how it feels. So now, I only moved that star nut maybe 1/8 of an inch, and it's still pretty loose. Like I can kind of just throw it around. So I think I'm going to go about another 1/8 of an inch. If you're right here in the center, you really shouldn't feel any sort of drag. Like if you can feel drag right here, you're definitely you know, tight. Like you do not want load on those bearings. You want them to spin freely. I'm not totally happy with where that's at. So again, I'm going to give that just another tiny little whack. So again, you snug it back down, and then I'm just going to kind of feel it. Like, you know, now the fall away is starting to be less. So instead of just showing you again, oh, do this again, blah, 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 I decided to give it another whack. So that's 3 whacks in total. This is a scientific method. This is feeling real good to me. There's no drag, but it's smooth. You can't hear anything dragging. So I'm going to leave this good right about here. You know, again, this is something that kind of comes from feel. So, you know, for you older subs of mine, if you remember doing the front bearings on your 2-wheel drive S10s and your, you know, C10s and even your old Fords, or even if you own a boat trailer or whatever, it's that same style. You know, instead of, you know, using that nut and touching it down, spinning the rotor, and then backing it off, touching it down, putting the cotter pin in, now you're kind of, you know, tightening this a little bit, this little star wheel, until you feel it, you know, like until it's just there. And the torque on this is 80 foot-pounds, and I'm gonna have to say that's crucial, so make sure you torque that. Let's see if I can do this while holding the camera. No, I'm gonna have to put down the camera. Now that that's all torqued to spec, 80 foot-pounds, double check it, and that's still feeling real good. What I would highly recommend you do is put a little nickel Antiseize on those threads, just in case you had any issues getting that off, or if you don't ever want to have issues getting that off. Go ahead and wind this back down. Remember, just put it on by hand. Like, even if you had to use pliers, the base of pliers to get it off, like, you do not need to put it on that tight. Okay, so I know this method is absolutely not the correct way, and there's probably going to be some people that watch this and they're like, what the fuck did I just watch? But you know what? If you know the theory behind it and you have an idea of what you're doing, this is a very good cheater method. And there's even several people on the forums that do it this way. Maybe just showing you where these adjustments are and stuff like that, it makes you feel more confident about the job, so then you're not too concerned about unhooking all your cables and all that. Then great, I've got you in the right direction. And then from there you can just consult your service manual and get your, you know, 3 to 4.5 inches of fall away, or your 6 to 8 inches of fall away, depending on what your bike needs. or you'll do it my way because you know your bike. You know it's a touch loose. You know it needs to be just tightened ever so slightly, and this method will work perfect for you. You know, I can't stress enough though, make sure you torque that stem nut, and you know, don't cheat about that. Like, torquing is crucial there. I hope you definitely learned something from this. Or even if you learned what not to do, then, you know, that's perfect. I'm glad this could help point you in the direction that you should not go. Once again, I mean, you know, like with that disclaimer, do this at your own risk. If you don't want to take everything off, then try it my method. Thanks for taking the time and watching this today, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you do for your steering head bearings, or if you just take it in, let someone else go through the hassle of doing it all. You know, if you liked it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've definitely got some good how-tos on how to properly do things, but every once in a while a good corner cutting is needed. So thanks for taking the time and watching.